Hello everyone, and welcome to the Flicks Forum podcast with Jesse, Heater and MJ. This week's episode we're looking at Netflix's 21st film, the first 2017 film. It's a heist film, it's called Coin Heist, directed by Emily Hagins, starring Sasha Pieterse, Alexis G, Zall, Alex Saxon, Jay Walker, Neal Huff, Michael Cyril Creighton and Mark Blum. Hello.
Hey
Blum,
mate.
Blum.
G'day boys.
I never realised
Blum.
reading the name Jay Walker and listening to the name Jay Walker a lot more funny when you actually hear it.
Yeah, very clever. I didn't even pick up on that. That's good.
Jay
I
Walker.
was too busy trying to pronounce the other.
Jay Walker was very good in this actually.
Welcome. We are looking at
Good to be
Coin
here.
Heist.
Coin
Yeah.
Heist.
Coin Heist.
Coin Heist.
Into
I
the
get-
20s, into 2017.
2017 is very
2017 now?
exciting. This one, it's categorized or put in the genre of a heist film. I think it's more a teen film, maybe.
I love a heist film. This isn't really a heist film.
It's definitely a heist film. I don't know how you can't not call it a heist film.
There's not much heist involved.
Are you kidding me? That's the plot.
There wasn't enough of the actual heist though. It was a teen teen movie.
They heist that place like 3 times. It happens multiple times in the
We might disagree on a few things that we say on this podcast, but I don't think I could disagree more with you saying this isn't a heist film.
It's a heist film, but not as much heist as I was hoping for.
Well, I'm very happy. We always start off our episode by going around the table, doing a quick 30-second summary of the film. MJ is going to hit us off today.
Cool. So Coin Heist is a very Netflixy, sit at home, watch on the couch type setup, based around a group of high schoolers planning to break into the local mint and print their own defected coins in order to raise money for, you guessed it, their school.
Oh, such nice kids. Heater.
A school principal is caught embezzling money from the school, leaving it broke. So 4 students then decide to team up and execute a heist of the US Mint to
Execute
get
what?
the funds needed to save their school.
Hang on, what did they execute?
They were executing a heist.
Oh, okay.
But what I'm saying is we didn't see enough of that.
Oh, man.
I want more.
I've gone with a bunch of kids decide to create their own coin to try and get their school out of financial trouble.
So me and Jesse didn't use the word heist in ours, and you did. I knew you'd use it, that's why I had to catch you out on it.
All right, fill us in. What do we know about this movie, Heath? I think I'll go for it.
Based on a novel by
Yes.
Elisa Ludwig.
Yes.
Beto.
Which in turn was based on a screenplay.
On a screenplay, yeah.
And Netflix billed this as the first successful conversion from script to novel to feature film for the studio.
It's interesting concept, isn't it?
Yeah.
So as it works, there's a whole bunch of shelved scripts, effectively.
Yeah.
And I think Adaptive Studios, which also does adaptive books, got them to grab one of the old scripts and make it into a book, and then read that book and made it into a screenplay.
Yeah. And I think Miramax were involved, which I thought was quite interesting. I don't know whether that was from the first screenplay or from the second screenplay. Or
Maybe it was from the first.
yeah. I stuck through the credits and Miramax were there at the end, so
Okay.
I was intrigued. Critical consensus. What's some feedback on this film?
Wasn't overly popular.
Yeah, I didn't like it.
They didn't like it.
2.2 out of 5 on Letterboxd.
Yeah.
From just over 1,000 ratings, and 4.8 out of 10 on IMDb, over 2,000 ratings. So it's not in the toilet as one of the worst films, but people didn't love it.
No.
Rotten Tomatoes, 4 reviews, 2 positive, 2 rotten. So
See, I just don't go on Rotten Tomatoes anymore.
No.
Because I know that you'll do it.
Yeah.
That's, I
Just don't care enough about Rotten Tomatoes.
my dislike for Rotten Tomatoes makes me check it out because I just want to see, because they'll pump things up as fresh when they're not fresh. But this one only had 4, so didn't have a critical consensus.
Yeah. But please keep checking it because we need the context to talk about it. But
Because we won't.
So released on Netflix on the 6th of Jan 2017 worldwide. Didn't have a cinema debut. Filmed in New York again. It's another film in New York.
Yep.
Anything else?
Emily Hagins,
Yes,
director.
This is an interesting story.
This was the most interesting thing about the whole background of the film was looking up her because I'm not familiar with her at all. But so by the age of 11, she produced several short films as well as her own first feature-length film, a zombie movie called Pathogen. Is how we're going to pronounce that one? We're going to call it Pathogen. I had a look at the title artwork for it, and it looked pretty cheap.
Oh, well,
No, hang
12
on.
years old, mate.
I'm getting to that. But her timeline It just blows my mind completely.
Like, this was her 5th feature. And the time she's 25.
It's absurd. Like, at the age of 11, when you're probably still in spelling groups at that age. She's out there making movies. Fascinating. So I'm going to make sure we keep a bit of a close eye on her. So what'd she win? She won a Texas Filmmakers Production Fund grant from the Austin Film Society at the age of 13. And then wrote and produced her second feature, The Retelling, by the age of 16. Like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Do we know any other
And there was
people
a
that are
zombie
doing
film
this?
that she did or something like, which got high praise. Yeah.
Crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I haven't done my product placement update in a while.
Oh, yeah, there was a bit in this.
There was not a lot. What did you pick up on?
No, I'm just thinking in general.
The only thing I picked up on was the MacBook multiple times. Focus on that Apple logo. That was the only thing that did it for me. And then another original Netflix song update towards the end. That Dakota girl singing a couple of songs with that band.
Yeah.
Not the worst songs.
I wrote down the lyrics to some of these songs that she sung, and
Please,
I was like,
no, do tell. Because I remember thinking it going, well, this is obviously an original song.
Are you going to sing them?
No, I'm not gonna, that's twice. You're trying to set me up with singing 2 weeks in a row. Some of the lyrics that she sang, I was these are woeful, and I was like, we were getting along so well, forgot you were even around. Live our lives peacefully, stay in your part of town. I was like, okay,
I like
gross.
it.
But
But
I wrote the rest of the song down. That's how into it I was.
Hang on, whilst you were watching,
Yeah.
you wrote it or you found the
Typed.
lyrics?
I was typing as I was watching.
Is that right?
Yep. Because there was nothing else going on the screen. So I might as well type what she was singing.
Alright.
The cast for this film actually had a very strong social media following,
Yeah.
so it was kind of like half actors, half social media stars,
Okay.
which has been done a couple of times before.
And a lot of the criticism that I read was that these guys are meant to be funny on their social media channels, and then
Well, yeah. Well, you know what? The one, like, Jay Walker, who played Benny,
Yeah.
apparently he's a comedian, on his channel, so to speak. And despite him not being funny in the film, I thought he was really good in the film. And to think that he was probably the one that was the most... I think he had a bit more of like a advertising promotional background with social media. And I thought he was probably the best performer, to be honest.
I thought he was good. Yeah, I thought he was good.
I don't think any of the actors were like horrible. It was just what they were given to
I'll get-
act with.
yeah.
I reckon.
I'll get to this later because
Yeah.
I don't entirely agree with them not all being horrible.
Ooh,
Yeah.
looking forward to
I
it.
looked a bit closer because it was bothering me, but we'll get to that.
What about the characters?
I also just want to mention,
Yes.
this is an interesting thing for me because we've got this young director who's very much worked on independent films, and this was her first. I think she kept calling it her first big budget film, which, in the big scheme of things, it's not. But she's working with a bigger crew than what she's used to.
Yeah.
And her biggest challenge was the fact that they actually had to shoot the heist scene first. So there was a heist scene. They had to shoot
I'm
that.
not saying there wasn't.
They had to shoot that first due to sort of time, budget constraints, which I reckon helps me figure out why some of the characters weren't as well fleshed out, because here they are, doing the final act almost before they've been able to play the characters, get a feel for the characters, and even the full picture of the film. And I think that would be a difficult thing to do. And I found that interesting, learning that after I'd watched the film and go, okay, maybe there is something.
Surely they had that factory for a bit of time, like literally the heist scenes, and whenever they went to the workshop to work with Benny's where he works.
But
that's all the same place.
Yeah,
like-
but maybe that was all part of it. They filmed all that at once. Oh, sorry, there. That's sure what you said.
Yeah,
I thought you were talking about all the mint scenes.
it's one big factory. Oh, man.
I'm pretty sure the factory was in a studio somewhere.
Yeah.
I think you only ever see it from that one angle.
Yeah, they used it for many things. It was good use of money. All right, these kids, they're all stereotypes.
They are.
And it really did my head in, because you've got Jason, who's this musician. He's a cool kid. I spelt musician wrong on my sheet. That's why.
He's a what?
Like musician. I'm like, that's why he spelled musician. Benny's like this token black kid who's good at sports. Alice is the
He comes from
from the
a
down and
background
out.
where
Yeah.
it's
Alice is this computer nerd, and Dakota's this popular blonde girl. It's like,
It's kind of like the Breakfast Club kind of thing. You got all the different kind of misfits and stereotypes all put together.
yeah, that did my head in straight up.
that last scene was a real homage to the Breakfast Club when they're all standing there looking at the sculpture.
Yeah.
That was massive Breakfast Club.
Yeah,
for me.
all Breakfast Club.
Don't you?
Oh, good. You're singing.
We're getting some singing on here.
Not me.
I'm happy to sing.
Those security guards did my head in as well.
Oh, they're idiots.
It was just like, yeah, okay, you make the security guards out to be dumb, but...
You don't want her writing that everything in the Mint was great except us. I wrote that down because I laughed at it.
But then even the security guard at the end at the gate, and he check and just lets them through. Yeah,
They're really poor at their jobs, those security guards. They were really poor.
He calls ahead on the radio to say, "Oh, we've got a problem," but he still lets the other guy in.
Yeah, he lets the guy in. Yeah, those guys were really poor at their job. They should all get fired.
All right.
Well, let's talk about Alice, the hacker.
The nerd.
So it really bothered me when she was talking about, she's hacked into the school and done this and done that.
And IBM.
And Google, IBM, TSA, NASA.
Yeah.
So is she the greatest hacker in the world? That really bothered me. So it's like, okay, so you've basically got this cheat code of a character who can do whatever you want her to do. And she still buggered up with that thing by the scheduling. But I thought in general, and I mentioned this, I thought it took the characters a while to get into their groove, and for me, as an audience member, to really get interested in the characters. But I did. I got to a point where I did, but I think all of them took a little bit too long to warm into it for me.
Yeah, I can't say I really had too much just feeling towards any of the characters. I really just didn't care too much about them. They were just, the characters in the movie.
I also think, though, and to your point about them all being stereotypes, which again was a clear way of trying to tie in the themes of the film, that, no matter who you are, if you work together, you can achieve this, or, all about not fitting in.
Yep.
I think that was a really, really obvious thing, but I actually think the characters were fleshed out enough to understand them better. Like, we've watched a few films recently where the biggest criticism is, but I don't understand this character, I don't understand the motivations. You don't have that issue with this film. You understand where all of them are coming from and why they're banned.
Yeah, the motivations come out pretty quickly, don't they?
And that's one thing with the motivation that Jason, the main guy, his character did my head in because this hatred for his dad seemed to just be there from the start. It wasn't like something that he's slowly learnt to hate his dad, or his dad's being this great guy that all of a sudden he hates him. It was just you see him throwing that egg at his artwork at the start, and then he's doing all this stuff to save the school. There's never one thought in him to be like, I need to do something to prove my dad innocent, or look out for my dad.
Yeah, he's not looking into the police reports, investigation, and things like that.
He has no intention of doing anything to help him, which did my head in, because it's like you've got these two conflicts. You've got the school's going under and your dad's in jail, and he didn't focus on his dad being in jail at all.
I think also during the movie, though, you find out that he's going to plead guilty, and that probably changes his mindset of, he actually has done this. He's betrayed everything.
The very first
But I do agree completely with it.
The very first scene, there's animosity between them at the field trip. Yep. You don't actually know it's his dad at the time, right? And he says something like, he says a smart-ass comment at the start, and he says, thanks for behaving yourself, Jason. And straight away, he's like, I don't care what you say or what you think about me. So they do set that up immediately, that he doesn't have a great relationship with his dad.
But that did my head in as well, because it was literally just a plot point. There's no way in real life that a principal's going to go on an excursion to the coin. It's just so they can have that set up of him being arrested. That's all it was. That's all it was.
There was 12 people on that field trip. That was one of my biggest...
Yeah, 2 teachers. The ratio's way out. It's way out. Oh.
And also, this is another thing that bugged me about that, is when they arrested the dad, he's like, can I have, a quick word to my son who's from you to me away? No, you can't. And they grab him by the cuffs and take him out. I'm like, come on.
Call mum.
Overly aggressive.
It's not like you got him for murder or something and he's going to kill someone.
He's done a violent crime.
Yeah. But I've got a lot of little bits in this film you can't do that, or you can't say this, or why did they do this?
I think our forgettable scenes are going to be quite lengthy.
Yeah.
Anything else before we talk about some scenes, I guess?
Segue. Characters, I wanted to, from characters, talk about the acting performances. And watching this film, initially I was like, man, there's no chemistry here at all. So I looked at it a little bit deeper, because it was bothering me where it felt really wooden. And I think to your point earlier that they didn't have much to work with from a script. I don't think it was a great script for them to work with, because I think that Jason, Benny, and Dakota, from an acting performance, actually all did a pretty good job. As I said, I was watching them quite closely afterwards, and I think they understood their characters quite well.
Well, here we go, Alice.
I think that
Poor Alice.
The girl who played Alice, was the black sheep of it all. I think every scene that she was in, it just didn't work. She had no chemistry with any other. I'm not saying that I don't want to say that she's a bad actress or anything, but in this film, I don't think that character made sense to me, and I don't think she got it out of the character, and I also don't think that character worked with any other characters. And as soon as I realised that, I couldn't unrealise that, and it was really bothering me. My wife came into the room because she'd only been listening to it, and she's like, "What are you watching?" And is the acting in this movie really bad just from listening to it? And that really got me onto thinking about it. And I actually just don't think that. Sorry, Alice, I don't think that really worked for me.
Okay.
Sincere apologies, but I gotta say it to the sea. What do you guys think? Am I out of line or?
I thought that was the role she was supposed to play, like this sort of awkwardly social.
She was a bit of an outcast,
person that's got no idea with, like, she's got that one mate that the video game guy.
Yeah.
Who was annoying.
I forget his name.
Greg.
Yeah.
Greg. But like literally, it was like she gets on with Greg in the school, and that's it. So it's like,
And he was a real dick to her.
He was.
Yeah. I mean, I've got him later on, but like, I
wouldn't have said that Alice, I guess, was bad, but she wasn't good.
I just think that every scene that she was in with someone else, there was no chemistry. And when that happens too many times, you're like, well, what's the recurring thing?
I think she had a couple of pretty awkward conversations with Jason, especially at the start. It seemed like they struggled to talk to each other. I mean, I'm not sure if that's like how it was supposed to be, because they're high school students, they don't really talk and know each other. But it did seem really forced conversation that didn't play out well.
I don't think I just don't think that she didn't understand the character well enough, or the character just didn't work. It was one of the two.
The Dakota chick, she was like, she overacted more than anyone. Like,
Yeah.
it was like she was on a Nickelodeon,
But she wanted to get into theatre and stuff. So
Yeah.
like, that was kind of true to character.
Sharpay.
Yeah.
High School Musical.
High School Musical.
High School Musical. If only. All right.
We digress.
Scenes. Let's move on. What do we like? What were some scenes that stood out?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
We have to have something that we...
Yeah.
stood out.
we were talking about it before. I did like the actual heist scenes in this movie.
What? There's a heist?
There just wasn't enough. There just was not enough. So like when they go into the factory and Jason and Benny are making that mold and doing all that, that was pretty cool. At the end, when they kind of they've actually got the coins and they're taken all through it. Look, I really enjoyed that part. I guess my comments before about the heist was just there wasn't enough. We didn't see enough planning. I thought it was much more of kind of that teen drama. I wanted a lot more of that planning, because it just seemed like really easy. Yeah. Hey, we're going to do this, done, we'll do it. I'm like, no, you guys have not planned this out.
Very true.
At all. I needed to see so much more planning of actual this heist.
That's a good point, because I feel like they tried to throw that away through Dakota's character, where they're like, you're good at planning, so you do the planning and don't show us anything.
So many times as well that Jason was like, don't worry, I'll figure it out. So I get like that ain't even scenes I don't like. These are scenes I liked, but there wasn't enough of that information.
I love that. Like, you're good at planning. What? Anything?
Yeah.
Anything in the world, you can plan it.
Dates and stuff.
I'm going to have a brain surgery next week. Yeah, I'll plan that. No worries. Yeah, I agree with that. That was just not fleshed out at all. I liked it when... This is when I actually started to realise that I was getting into this movie. When they're in the factory and Jason decided to pull the pin on the whole thing. I just found myself being like, no. And then I'm like, oh my God, I'm in this movie. Because I really didn't want them to stop doing it, because I was enjoying that they were working together and they were working towards something. So well done, you got me there.
I like the first scene where they're out the front of the Mint and they're about to go into the building, and the teacher's like, in an orderly fashion, show them what our school's like. I was like, oh, that's a teacher of me. That's exactly what I say to my kids.
You can see yourself there saying that.
Well, if that's a standout in the film.
Did you see that teacher in you a few times, Jesse?
No. Man. I have so much to say about him later on.
Well, he did have a beard, and Jesse's got a beard right now, so...
Don't have a beard. It's going.
Grizzly Jesse.
Maybe he grew it because of this guy.
Yeah, there was one...
It's true.
Weird. There was one scene where I did like the camera work, and it was when they first go to the Mint, and Dakota's sort of walking through the corridors, and the camera traces her going across the corridors, and then it sort of like pans down, and then you see the boys downstairs working, and I thought that was cool. But apart from that,
that was cool, and you could see up the top and down the bottom.
Yeah. I thought that was cool. Yeah.
Did you like it how Alice took that pamphlet and then that pamphlet came back? I was like, why are you showing her taking the... and then they found
it was a bit like the guitar case with the bird.
Yeah.
It was like, alright. I don't have anything else to say. that stood out for me.
No, I don't either. Unfortunately.
We'll just awkwardly wait in silence while
No, I
MJ
don't.
Go on, MJ.
has a think.
Nah,
Should we move on to some other scenes?
Yes, let's talk about things that did our head in.
Any scene with Dakota's boyfriend in it, Dylan. He was an absolute knob.
Okay.
I couldn't stand watching him and
so
listening to him.
I've got that here too because, to me, they weren't going out.
No, they really weren't.
I had no
seemed-
background knowledge to
They were
understand.
an odd
like,
relationship.
yeah. So, like, she kisses Benny at that party, and he
yeah.
comes downstairs and cracks it. Doesn't crack it about anything about the kissing or anything. He's just like, don't talk to her.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, after they play the song, he's out the back, and she's like, oh, we're not working, we need to break up.
I
I'm
wrote
like,
that.
whoa, when were you going out?
This wasn't an awesome film, but that was the worst scene in this film was that breakup scene. That was shocking. It was almost like, oh crap, we forgot to break her up with someone.
Yeah.
She's got to get with the other guy. Oh, we've got to break her up quickly. You've got 3 seconds. Go, break her up.
And then the follow-in is at the end of the film where Dakota apologizes to Benny for letting her boyfriend talk to him like that. And then he goes, yeah, that was the worst. And she's like, I know. It's like, oh.
It was good pickup, Peter, because I wanted to be like, don't forget the worst scene in this film is
Oh,
a
no.
breakup scene, but you've just picked him as a boyfriend as everything about them's bad.
It wasn't even the scenes with her. Just like he was like, he's kind of the typical high school bully towards, I think, to Jason, to Benny as well. He's just a knob of a bloke.
And he wasn't even that good a bully.
No.
But whether he's a knob or not, you can let slide in a film. But the character was just so useless.
It was-
but their relationship, you're right.
He's throwing eggs at the statue at the start, and then Jason just joins in anyway. So it's like,
Yeah.
oh, well, you got him.
He's teasing him and he joins. It's like, I thought he was going over to punch him and then he just like, give me an egg. All right, well.
How bad was that statue as well?
Yeah, it was awful.
I've got that in my themes.
What, the statue?
Because they had this real like expository sort of dialogue where it's like, that huge piece of art is meant to symbolize knowledge or shiny bright futures. And I was like, none of them will have those futures. The start, Jason goes, oh, you're a mint. Do you make credit cards? I was like, oh.
Yeah, that was Dylan.
Was that Dylan?
Yeah, that was Dylan again.
Whoever it was, I can't even remember.
It was Dylan again.
And then like there was like straight after that, it's like, oh, the Wi-Fi in here is so bad. It's like, oh well, this is an obvious plot point. They're gonna say how easy it's gonna be to break into the mint. That did my head in.
So can we talk about the teacher? That teacher has 2 explicit digs at Jason about his dad, like tossing him to school and going to jail. It's like as if you would say that to a student.
I know.
But he turned into, he's like, don't let this bring you down.
But that's the thing, at the start I didn't know we were supposed to not like the teacher. And then all of a sudden I'm like, he's being really rude and unprofessional, and I'm like, oh, he's the one that's going to catch him out.
Yeah.
I'll talk about the teacher later.
Why not now?
I'll talk about it now.
Unless you got another segue.
No, I thought that
You liked him, didn't you?
No, I didn't like him, but I thought
I like all
he
teachers.
No, I thought he was meant to be the moral compass in that movie. I thought he was meant to be the one that was like keeping them in line, making sure that they do their study. Wants to know why they're skipping class, and he goes, "I'm going to expel you if I find out." Like that was a bit extreme, but and then at the end he wants them to face consequences for what they've done. And he's like having to go at the board guy for taking the coins or whatever. But then like I was like, okay, so far, and that's what like the end of the film I was like, I can't believe that you've had this teacher who's done all these things that are supposed to be good things, and then at the end he's like listening to them saying, oh, what are we going to do with the rest of the coins? And he's like, you guys are smart kids, just hide them or get rid of them. I was like, wow, that's the biggest letdown.
That was true to what you're saying, I reckon. He
Yeah.
said, you guys are smart kids, get rid of them.
Yeah.
Like he was like, don't get yourself in any more trouble with them.
Yeah.
I thought the look on his face was like, it was a complete change in the character that he played for them the whole way through.
Was it?
Because to me, that's not a moral compass.
I agree. Like I think they were supposed to be portrayed as that moral compass, but then it just what MJ was saying. Those lines that he said to Jason then just don't fit in.
They were wrong
at all.
They were wrong.
With how he. I mean, if he doesn't say those lines to him, then he's that perfect portrayal of the moral compass. But then they threw in these lines that don't make sense for him to be saying those things.
I never thought of him as a moral compass. When you say it like that, I do get it, but I guess I was so jaded by those other lines. And the fact that he went through a student's car at night time and had the right to just be like, open your car, what do you got in there? Open that.
On school property.
Why didn't they just say no?
Because you're on school property.
Oh, what's he going to do? Pull his gun out? Like,
No, but then they all follow him and walk back to the thing with him. Like,
But surely the first reaction from the kid is like,
no.
And then maybe
What
an
are you gonna
argument as to, you have to.
Wrestle the keys out of you.
But surely, if you've just done that, you've stolen all these coins.
Yeah, I would.
Your first answer is no. Make me.
Yeah,
That's
exactly. I thought
You
that
must have
too.
been bad students.
Well, I didn't steal money from the local mint.
I don't know. I was just like, I thought that he was this sort of shining light in this film of trying to show where the right and wrong is.
Maybe he was.
You didn't like that end bit.
I
then,
didn't
him
like
telling
that.
him to throw the coins away. So what would you have
I
rather?
like that about him. But hang on.
Because
me and
he
Heath,
should have been like, you've got those extra coins, get rid of them, give them to him as well, or do something like
that is
it was like,
that
it
is
was
the
like-
perception me and Heath got,
it was-
right? I thought at the end he was saying, get rid of those coins.
Yeah, get rid of
They're
them, hide them
bad
so you
news.
can never be caught with them, and the consequence will never come down on you now. Just ditch them.
That's 100% what I thought he said.
Throw them in the river or something. Just
So
get
if
rid
you
of
thought
them.
like that, then he ticks all the boxes.
I don't know, it just didn't sit well with me. I was like, because I thought the whole film he was the sort of right guy, and he's like, you've still got coins, go to the police, we'll take you to the police. Not like, because he's letting them get away with it. Why would you let them get away with it when the whole film you've been like, you've got to do the right thing, you've got to do the right thing. It's like, don't just throw them away.
Well, 'cause I think-
either you've got to face the
Yeah.
consequences. That's what did my head in.
I think he's also seen in the scene before he tried to do the right thing and it didn't pan out.
Yeah, because he had his boss in the room.
Yeah,
Who was
and
that
it didn't
guy?
work.
The board member who was helping pack the house up.
Yeah, he
because-
was. So he was on the board of the
on it.
school.
Yeah, and he was in on
Yeah, he was in the
dad
whole
being
thing.
in on
Which
it.
is
Yeah.
why Jason was like, oh, let's
He hated
hated this
him.
guy first
Yeah.
because we know that he's money hungry.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just thought the teacher should he's listening in on them having that conversation. He should have been like, right, go back in there and give the rest of them, or I'm still calling the cops on you guys. Because that's what his
Or
intention
maybe
was the whole
because
time.
he didn't want him to give him back to the guy on the board because he didn't like him in the end because he didn't make the decision he thought he would. He didn't remember his name. So maybe he was like, all right, well, screw this guy. You guys still got him. Just get rid of him so you guys are safe. This guy's obviously not the guy I thought he
So
was.
Yeah, he should have gone to the cops anyway and ratted them
I'm
out.
thinking there's an element of him thinking that, okay, the kids may not have done such a terrible thing. They've absolutely
Saved his
they've,
job, yeah.
they've learnt their lesson. They weren't trying to be malicious. Going to the cops is just going to get them into more trouble when the lesson that he wanted them to learn anyway has already been learned. Let's just finish it right now and leave it this way. Kids go back to school. Yeah, you did the wrong thing. You got very close to getting in a hell of a lot of trouble, so you learnt your lesson.
Yeah, you won't do it again now, so...
Oh, he's okay with that on the back of his mind that he's let this guy head of the school get away with everything, not just
That's a
this
separate issue to the
Yeah.
kids, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just talking about him as a character. Like, I don't know.
Oh yeah, he was a super
That
unbelievable
ruined
character.
the end for me.
I didn't believe that character at all.
No.
Because he was just all of a sudden helping them out with packing up the house, and then he was also helping them out with the lawyer, and then he was just at the school dance. and
Because
it's
he
like-
felt bad about throwing the dad under the bus.
Yeah. He was an absolute jerk.
I thought there was a lot of talk about queens and history in this as well, and I thought that was really boring. I don't know if it's like an American thing. Like, I've never been on an excursion to a mint.
I have
Oh, okay.
Canberra, grade 5, grade 6.
Was that interesting?
Nah,
okay.
but I did get
So this film's not
I
interesting.
did get
Did
a
you get the
coin that
coin?
was printed that was minted that day.
Yeah. I went there just on like holiday, which was not great. But because I remember because you went to the mint and you paid $2 and they printed you a $1 coin.
$1, yeah, I
and I was
remember
like,
that,
hey, this doesn't work out.
You're right, I remember that.
Okay. I'm the odd one out.
But no, I do agree that the history and the discussion of coins is not interesting.
Don't care. Anything with a mum in it, like Jason's mum in it too, I was like, you are a horrible character. So she was in like
Yeah,
4
she
scenes.
wasn't great.
There was one scene where she's like, oh, your dad's not guilty. He would never have done this. Well, obviously he did.
Wrong.
The second thing was she interrupts the band's practice to talk about, let's go visit your dad.
That was just stupid.
Well, let him play.
Yeah.
The next one was,
Felt like a valid question. Hey, I'm going to go see your dad. You're not going to be able to see him for a week. I'm just going to let you know.
but we know already he doesn't care about his dad. He's
Yeah.
not even trying to free him or free his name up.
We didn't know that as explicitly as we did after watching that scene.
I knew. Well, he hasn't even thought about trying to save his dad. Then they're packing up the house with the dude who's thrown him under the bus. She's just like, oh, I've got a box in my hand. Whoop-de-doo. And then finally, there's a scene where like he walks in with his guitar and he's like, oh, I'm going off, I'm all dressed up. And she's like, and he's like, oh, I'm sorry for not helping you. And she's like, it's okay. That was the context of her character.
I'm telling you, I had these issues with Alice throughout the whole film, and she was in more than 4 scenes. And I'm the bad guy.
Yeah, you are. What did you think about that list of never-ending activities that were cancelled?
There was a lot.
There was a lot.
There was a lot.
And the most interesting one was the first one, the ant farm group. I was like, I would like to see what is involved in an ant farm
I think
group.
they
at
were
school.
trying to make it out like we're going to go alphabetically and we're going to go real slow.
Yeah.
I like it when they checkers, Chinese checkers.
Then you
Checkers, chess and Chinese checkers. I'm like,
That's good.
you guys have too many clubs.
And then you could obviously see that something to do with that dance at the end was going to be impacted by this. It was just so obvious. Like,
But they had to do that to show that Dakota's character had something to gain by getting the school back on its feet, right? Because she was so invested in all those clubs and evidently the theatre side of it as well.
Yeah.
So that was her way of being like, okay, I've got something at stake. You know, Benny's thing was, you're going to lose your scholarship. You literally can't go to school. You can't afford to go to school. Jason's was kind of self-serving.
Yeah.
And Alice...
She's already been suspended 3 times.
Yeah, she needs a new challenge, new hacking challenge.
She's hacked into NASA now. She needs the next one on the list.
NASA, come on. Why are you dropping NASA?
Why are you even hacking into NASA? What's there to gain from that?
Check out what's going on Mars or something.
Because you can. It's like bloody watching Girl with a Dragon Tattoo.
Alice and Jason, there was this scene where they were playing with that alarm that she made. And then...
Reminded me of 10 Things I Had About You when they go in to check out Heath Ledger. They go into his class because, you know, Jason was in the wrong... Anyway.
Yeah, it was in the wrong. And then...
and he draws the book.
That's right.
Like, they're talking about the heist and they're like trying to keep it secretive, and then like Benny is literally behind them and it's like, oh, we should tell him. And I'm like, he said everything you've said the whole time. Oh, horrible.
Also reminded me of Superbad when Jonah Hill comes in with he goes, oh, we're going to go get beer tonight. It's like, you're not even in this class.
Yeah.
It's very funny.
I thought Dakota and Benny's reasons to join the heist were rubbish and not fleshed out at all.
Oh, I just said they were good.
Their reasons to join?
Yeah, you should have said it then when I said it. You weren't listening.
No, I wasn't listening. No, I thought like, because literally it was like this kid has a go at Dakota and then she's like, I'm in. And then Benny is just like, you have this scene with his grandma and then it's like...
Benny's going to lose his scholarship.
Yeah, but he knew he was going to lose his scholarship before that, I felt.
Yeah, Benny was going to lose his scholarship and Dakota was going to lose like everything she likes about school.
Yeah, but those reasons were in their mind before they it got brought to them before.
So let's think of it as like a meet cute, right? You get the meet cute at the start where you set it up and then something else has to happen to tip him over the edge. So I'm going to allow that.
Well, Dakota's tip over the edge was some guy as she was about to walk out saying, "Oh, thanks for cancelling our clubs."
Yeah, that was, you know what? I don't think I can live like this. I thought I could.
I don't think that her character would be able to make that sort of a decision that quickly.
It's a big decision.
I like their reasons. I thought they had better reasons than the other two.
Well, what did you think of Benny's why he got in trouble at his previous school? Like he was making IDs for the people who kept getting harassed by immigration.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. And there's like there's one line in the film and that's it.
Yeah,
it's a nice thing
because they wanted you to think that he was
Yeah.
doing something dodgy, making IDs, and it's like, oh yeah, but I was
When
doing
really
it.
just a
It's like,
nice
oh,
guy.
God, you're just a bloody champion, aren't you?
Yeah.
There's a scene where Alice goes in to kiss Jason, and then he like sort of says, "Oh nah, we just need to keep it cool." And then she like full cracks at him
Real quickly.
Yeah.
real quickly.
Really
You're
quick.
excusing me. I was like, oh.
That was the scene, right? I got to the point where I was watching all the characters really closely. I was watching Jason. I'm like, you know what? This guy gets his character. Sorry, the actor. I'm not sure of his name. He understands his character. He's actually delivering these lines really well. I believe him. And that's when I'm like, Alice, you are just on another planet right now. But that was a terrible scene because that was supposed to be like a really nice. We're sitting on the lake.
Yeah.
This is a big chance to see them together. And
But it was like that conversation she'd had with her friend, not with him. So like it was like that's not what
Greg
it was.
got into her head.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that scene was cringe.
They really needed to flesh out Greg more than all of a sudden he was just like, oh, you like this guy, he likes you, he's just using you. It's like, hang on, who are you?
He wasn't a
Like,
good friend.
Where did
at
he
all.
come from?
And without him, she
to
wouldn't
Alice.
have put the coins in though.
Yeah.
For gaming, and she's like,
Nah,
I'd
but-
hand it in.
He wasn't a good friend though.
When they get ready to go to this dance or whatever it was, what did you think of Benny's outfit? I thought he looked like he was about a 60-year-old man. He had like this suit that was too big. He had this compared to the rest of them.
Doesn't come from money, Jesse. We know that about him.
Well, it worked in the end
Okay,
because
yeah.
then he had to pass off Alice as his niece, so he had to look older.
Okay, I didn't think about that well enough, obviously.
But yeah, I mean, I think also like it's got to be shown he's probably got some hand-me-down suits because he's poor. Like he's at that school because he's on a scholarship. Like he can't afford it.
Fair.
Money's not great.
I agree.
Fair, yeah.
I got into this film we've been talking about a lot of negatives, but it did have this ability to draw me in. Not that I loved it by the end, but I was just like, all right, I'm on board. I'm gonna keep watching you guys. And when that great heist scene came, I was in.
The one.
I thought that there was the scene where Dakota was like they're like, they got no singer because he's got food poisoning. And it's like, oh, the song's better than anyone. You helped me write. And I was like, oh.
It was always coming too because she said how she got the lead part in the musical or something. It's like, oh, she's going to sing, isn't she? Yep, she is.
I can't believe she knew all those songs. That was such a cop out.
And what do you think of the security system at the Mint? Like,
It's not good.
I thought the designs of downloading and all this sort of stuff was like, it's like a 2-year-old.
You need to remember they have the best hacker in the world. At
IBM has no chance against her.
So,
And finally, the last scene did my head in. They melted down those coins and put this coin on this.
God, that looked bad.
it did, didn't it?
It looked really bad.
So the final part is the camera zooms in on the initials of each of the kids.
Yeah.
And I pause it and I'm like, okay, do I actually know any of their surnames?
Jason
Jason was
Yeah.
Hodges.
Yep.
I couldn't tell you the rest.
Anyway, so I'm like, the credits are going to start, surely. The credits just listed them as their first names anyway. I was like, what's the point in that? Anyway.
IMDb just has them as their first
name. So, you can't have this, this momentous thing to finish off the thing. Oh, they did the right thing. They melted the coins down, and there's their initials. You didn't even tell us their last names.
That's a really good point.
It meant nothing.
Mr. Rankin was the teacher, by the way.
Yeah. But anyway, that coin thing meant very little.
Yeah, it was a silly ending.
Sorry, anyone else have anything that did their heading?
Oh, I reckon you covered most of mine.
Surely MJ's got something else.
No, I don't know if I do. I think you've gone pretty well.
I went pretty hardcore there. So themes, we sort of spoke about that art piece or whatever. What about parents being bad? I think that's something in here. I think so. Alice's parents cheat on each other. Dakota's parents like her sister more than her and try to force her to go to a school. Benny's parents aren't around because he's only got his grandma, and obviously Jason's dad's the embezzler. So parents aren't a good role model.
It's a good point.
Yeah, it's not a good role models. I guess because this is a stupid idea for them to do. Really, they're risking jail time to do this because I guess they don't have those role models to show them the right way.
Yep.
Was there a line that Alice says about parents and learning from their mistakes or them getting in the way or?
Yeah, there was something.
There was something quite explicit about that. But it's a really good point. And do you reckon they did that in a sense to go, okay, now you understand why these kids have the green light to do this? Or do you think it is a wider critique?
Well, they have no adult role models in their life.
Except for Mr. Rankin, who
follows rules.
But abuses students.
Yeah,
he didn't abuse. I did not feel that at all.
Twice. He said he had a dig at him.
Twice he had a dig.
Your dad's in jail.
That's him trying to be relational. That's him trying to say, I know what's going on in your life.
He did it in a very aggressive way.
Yeah, and then he says, don't let this ruin your chances because he wants him to do well in school.
Can't wait till we get the next teacher movie.
That's him being relational. What about finishing things? There was these multiple digs at Jason. You don't finish things.
Nah, that was clear, wasn't it? And he tried to pull the pin.
Was it Dakota was always having a go in about it?
Did he finish anything in the end?
Well, did he ever come up with a way to sell those coins online?
Well, I guess he sort
because we never found out.
He said he'll figure it out.
He said he'll figure it out so many times that we never found out what their plan was to sell these coins.
He sold it to that guy in the end.
True, and that was his idea.
Yeah.
It's like, we'll come in. By the way, can we just tell so-and-so first? That was his idea.
Yeah, and his explanation for knowing how to do that.
Yeah.
I've watched 12 heist movies. Oh, well done. Genius.
But he also knew that this was the bloke who was across the embezzlement, and you knew that he was money hungry, and you knew that he would react differently to what they expected. Exactly. So that was quite clever. Well done, Jason.
Knowing who you are as well. These characters, I felt like they sort of knew who they were. Alice knew that she was good with doing what she was. Benny knew that where he's coming from, what he needed. So they also learnt
the roles that they can play together as well. So finding their way, finding their role, and going out on a limb to do something bigger than what they would ordinarily do.
Yeah. And they all come together in this friendship that probably, they kept saying, why are you guys friends? The teacher kept saying, why are you guys together?
Four misfits.
Yeah. Apart from Greg, I feel like he got let down in a friendship the most.
He wasn't really in the group, though.
No, but his friendship, that's all he had was...
Well, he didn't treat her well enough.
Well, then he should have been a better friend.
Yeah, because he was jealous. He just wanted Alice all to himself.
The thing is, he was jealous, but it wasn't that clear that he was jealous. And at the end, he kind of falls on his sword.
Because he's looking weirdly at you.
Yeah, but...
that was weird. Anything else?
How deep was his voice, too?
Yeah.
I thought it was a bit of also taking things into your own hands. So these students, they realise that no one else is going to save the school, so they might give it a try.
Yeah. Especially with the lack of parental guidance that we spoke about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we don't do it, who will? That's a good one.
What do we take from this film? Like,
Didn't need to watch it on the big screen.
no.
Did not need to watch it on the big
Like,
screen.
the budget was so low. Like,
Emily Hagins' biggest film.
beyond low. Like,
Yeah.
you could tell. And I wouldn't recommend watching it ever.
I just didn't get invested in the film at all. I was watching it and I really didn't care kind of if it worked, if it didn't work. I was trying to get into it, but it just didn't get me hooked in or invested as to what was going to happen.
Yeah, I didn't feel invested until a couple of things happened, and I realised that I cared more than I thought I did. But I was watching it pretty closely because I was intrigued by these actors, and I thought they were generally pretty good. So, and I thought the characters are pretty well fleshed out and a lot meatier than we've had before. And I think we had a good discussion about the themes of the film. That there was enough there to get into it.
Yeah. IMDb. Did you use it?
My IMDb was a struggle because I went on for Jason's father, who's played by Neal Huff, who's not credited on IMDb.
Really?
I like mate.
He wasn't in there. I couldn't believe it. He's on like Wikipedia page and a couple other pages. He's in the credits, but you go on IMDb, he's not credited in this movie.
If you go on Neal Huff's IMDb page,
Not in it.
it's not on there?
Not on there. And I actually only then worked out who he was because I watched this movie a few days ago, and then later that night I watched another movie and he was in it. And I was like, hey, I know who you are. So I went on and I found him through that. But yeah, he's not in the credits on IMDb.
I can't remember
What was
what
that
it looked
movie?
like, yeah.
Beirut. Which was pretty good.
Okay.
Is that how you thought about him?
Hey?
Is that why you IMDb'd him in the first place? Because you recognise him from another
No,
film?
I watched Beirut afterwards.
So when you were watching this film, you IMDb'd him anyway?
Yeah, because I was pretty sure, and it was confirmed, he is the father of the girl in Split, the girl who was in our previous movie.
Oh, wow.
Who gets
when he gets in the car.
the chloroformed in the
Yeah,
car to get in the
yeah.
car. Yeah, he plays the
And he
girl's
doesn't
father.
have an IMDb page.
No, he does. He's just not credited on this
Credit for
movie.
his
Yeah.
film. Maybe he requested to have that removed.
Mate, I tried Googling like all these things, like maybe there was a disagreement or something, but could not find anything.
He was embezzling the...
Yeah, he was embezzling the money.
I didn't go on IMDb. When there's a scene where Jason's lying in the bed and he's watching this film in the background. I'm like, oh, that's Michael Caine in the film. So I looked up. I was like, okay, what's that film that Michael Caine's on? It's a 1966 film called Gambit. And the plot of the film is it's a cat burglar who uses a dancer to help pull off a heist. So obviously it's one of the heist films that he's watching as research.
The 12 he watched in a weekend or something.
So I don't know if that's one of the 12 films that they could get the rights to show some footage, but I thought that was cool.
They would have had to,
Yeah.
I actually didn't. My wife came in and said for a couple of seconds and said that's the girl from Pretty Little Liars, the Dakota.
Yeah.
But I didn't. I actually didn't know him to be anyone in this because I didn't recognise anybody.
Yeah. All right. Got any questions for us?
I think Heath touched on this one earlier, but like, how do they know exactly what to do and where to go when they're at the Mint?
Exactly. See, I needed more planning and things. There just wasn't enough.
Especially, I was okay with what the girls were doing with the journalist staff and hacking into the computer, but when
the guys'
Jason and Benny were just like,
Yeah.
okay, we're just going to go in here and grab this out and do this, and it's like, how the hell
I
do you know?
don't understand how they got to that point.
They went on an excursion there. So they
Is that
saw
it? I'm genuinely asking if I missed something.
I don't think
That's a good point.
it was fleshed out enough at all.
Yeah, okay.
I thought it was interesting because, like, why should the kids be expected to behave like well when all the people running the school and all the adults are so corrupt? I was just like, you can't expect, like, that's why they act this way. We touched on it before, but it's like they've got no role models. Yeah. I thought that was interesting. Is it okay to commit a crime if what you're doing is for the higher good?
This has been done a million times, hasn't it?
And that's it's tough, isn't it?
I think they in this movie they're saying it is, and that's to the point of Mr. Rankin, who was let's call him the moral compass.
Yeah.
At the end, he was like, I'm not going to report you. You just go do your thing. Be careful about it, but you were probably doing the right thing. You got your lesson.
I think what makes me feel a bit uncomfortable about it is they're doing it with like teenage kids. Like if it's adults, I don't know. I don't feel as bad about it if they do the wrong thing. But these are kids.
On the flip side, it's not meant to be a serious film. It's meant to be like a teen angst film almost. This is their coming of age
teen
film.
movie, yeah.
They're just doing it in the vehicle of a coin heist.
For Ferris Bueller, you like.
Ferris.
Oh,
He
what a
goes
great
and has a bit
movie.
of fun. Like does some cool little things. These
That's a
guys
good
are
movie.
robbing mint.
Yeah, we can't compare it to movies like that, though.
Have you guys seen The Perfect Score? 2004 film with a young
Jimmy
Chris
Fallon?
Evans and Scarlett Johansson? Nah.
No.
It's the exact same movie as this.
Really?
The exact. Oh,
Really?
It's a group of students who instead they plan to break into a testing center to steal the answers to their SATs. But again, it's a group of misfits, kind of like the Breakfast Club stereotypes. This all planning to break in to steal something.
And it's light and a bit comedic.
Yeah, it's a teen kind of drama comedy. It's like I was watching, like, this is the exact same film as The Perfect Score.
Was it good? Perfect Score?
Wasn't bad. Wasn't bad. Had a good cast.
Where or what is the positive message of this film?
Don't embezzle money.
What? You can embezzle money and then everyone turns out okay except the dad because he ends up in jail?
It's to not embezzle money.
Well, that's just one person that got impacted by it.
There's a nice message of people who aren't fitting in, working together to achieve a common goal.
Yeah.
Okay. They just broke the law. That's fine.
Yeah.
But aside from that,
If you're 15 years old watching
yeah.
this film, do you think you're going, oh, they broke the law though?
Yeah.
And I can get away with it. Yeah.
It is a bunch of different stereotypes who can achieve something together and who can get along, who you wouldn't expect they would get along.
And they all walked away with 1 coin each.
A good memento.
Yeah. No. Money. That's...
Yeah, I'd be cashing on that.
I like this. I read this article. It was a review on Forbes, and it said the real theft is of the minutes you could have spent doing something more productive.
I read that too.
I was like, that sums up this film quite well.
There's so many lines like that you can do with movie reviews. So,
I thought that was funny.
I like the context in it.
Yeah. All right. Are we ready to give our ratings for this film?
I do have a
One more?
Did My Dog Bark?
Yes.
So this was an interesting one because Todd growled when Jason's mum knocked on his door. So obviously Todd thought there was a knock on the door at our house, but he was savvy enough to know it was coming from the TV. So I think he thought someone was coming from the TV, out of the TV. Just something to keep an eye on if you're watching this with your pets. But by now we've ruined the whole film, so you've probably already seen it. So we didn't do it.
Did we do
a
a spoiler on this
alert.
movie? No.
If you haven't watched Coin Heist, we're probably going to spoil it during this podcast.
All right. Let's go around and give our rating out of 5. Heater, hit us off.
I thought this movie was pretty ordinary. Couple of the good kind of heist scenes that I liked, but again, there just wasn't enough to get me involved. I didn't really care either way, really, what happened. I wasn't invested. 2 out of 5.
Cool. MJ?
Yeah, it was okay. I prefer it being branded as a teen heist comedy as opposed to IMDb's crime drama mystery definition. Despite a pretty underwhelming first half hour or so, I finally found myself getting into it more, rooting for the characters a little bit, despite not being totally engrossed. But it was very harmless. It was a little bit of fun, but sadly quite forgettable. 2.5 stars.
Okay. This film had no morals for me. So Mr. Rankin, I thought, was the dude who had the morals, and then that got blown away at the end for me. So that upset me. Who comes up with an idea like this? Like, do kids like coins that much?
Well, it was a 90s screenplay initially, and then they wrote it into a book, and then they wrote that book into a screenplay.
So obviously you write the screenplay, no one likes it. You write the book, people don't read it. So let's put it into a movie. Like, kids don't like coins. I'm sure of it. I'm sure they don't like them that much.
Did you do a survey?
No, the survey said no. It's like a bad Disney Channel movie. Would have been I would have given it a high rating, but I just couldn't handle the end. Like Mr. Rankin, that end bit just did it for me and dropped it. So I'm giving it a 1 out of 5.
I reckon you misinterpreted his ending. I really do.
Well, if I did, I'm still giving it 1 out of 5 because I'm really sour about this film.
Wow.
Yeah. So heat up. Give us an average. What is that average?
1.83 out of 5.
Yeah, good. Where
Coin Heist.
Coin Heist. So as usual, social media. Chuck a question up every week. This week we want to know which character can walk away at the end of the film feeling good about themselves.
Interesting. Good question.
I can think of 4 right away.
Different opinions. So get on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram at FlixForum. That's where we will have that question this week.
They saved the school. They set out to save the school, and they saved the school.
And they broke the law.
It's okay.
It's not okay.
But no one was hurt.
And they only save the school if the board member can sell the coins
He'll be
and
right.
get the money for them.
Yeah, what if they...
If he can't sell them, the school's not safe.
You know
because-
when we can find this out? Coin Heist 2. Return to the mint.
Coming soon to Stan. All right, so
Join us on our other podcast, Stanflix.
please subscribe to us, listen to us, download our podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, wherever you can find us. Next week, we're looking at our second 2017 film. It's a thriller called Clinical. It's directed by Alistair Legrand, starring Vanessa Shaw, Kevin Rahm, India Aisley, Aaron Stanford, Nesta Serrano, Sydney Tamia Portier, and Willem Calderon. So it is, I'm pretty sure that's like Sydney Portier.
I was going to say, did you just say Sydney Portier?
So it's
2017.
She's female, but it's spelled like Sydney, like the city Sydney, not like S-I-D.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure it's his granddaughter.
Ah, okay.
I think I looked this up.
Cool.
Relation, definitely related. So definitely looking forward to this one.
Yeah, cool.
Good to have a thriller on. So hopefully this isn't genre based.
This was a crime. This is a crime drama mystery. So.
This could be a romantic comedy.
You never know.
As usual, had a good chat, boys. Thanks for coming along,
Thanks, boys.
Have a nice week,
Good fun.
you lovely fans.
and we'll speak soon.
Bye.